Imagine this: a speeding car, a young man laughing behind the wheel, the sound of tires screeching, and then silence broken only by a woman's painful cry. Right there, in the middle of the street, an arrogant millionaire's son had just hit a pregnant woman. But what he never expected was that the truth about her husband would shake him to his core, leaving him frozen in a way money could never fix. Before I share the full story, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel, because stories like this remind us of the real meaning of life, love, and humility, and you won't want to miss the lessons that unfold. It all started on a bright morning in a busy city, where people rushed to work, children ran to school, and life flowed like it always does. Among them was Aisha, a gentle woman 7 months pregnant, carrying not just the weight of her unborn child but also the dreams she and her husband, Imran, had built together. Imran was no millionaire, no businessman with shiny cars and expensive watches. He was a schoolteacher, humble and hardworking, a man whose greatest treasure was the love of his wife and the child they were expecting. They lived in a small apartment, but their hearts were filled with gratitude. On the other side of the city lived Arman, the only son of a wealthy tycoon. Spoiled from birth, arrogance dripped from his every move. He had never been denied anything: money, cars, parties, girls. To him, life was a game, and rules never applied. That morning, hungover from a night of reckless drinking, Arman grabbed the keys to his father's expensive sports car. As he sped through the crowded streets, he paid no attention to red lights or pedestrians. He was invincible, or so he thought. Aisha was crossing the road carefully, holding her belly protectively. She looked left and right, but before she could take her next step, the roar of an engine came rushing toward her. In an instant, the car struck her, throwing her to the ground. People screamed. Someone shouted for help. Arman stepped out of the car, annoyed rather than concerned. "Why are people walking in the middle of the road?" he muttered, brushing his jacket as if nothing had happened. He didn't see the blood, the tears, the pain in Aisha's eyes. He only saw inconvenience. The crowd grew. Phones were out. Some cursed him for his carelessness. Arman waved them off, bragging that his father would take care of everything. He even tossed his card at a bystander, saying, "Send the bill to my dad." But then came a voice that silenced everyone. It was Imran, rushing through the crowd, his heart breaking at the sight of his wife lying helpless on the ground. He dropped to his knees, cradling her trembling hand, whispering, "Stay strong, Aisha. I'm here." Arman rolled his eyes. "Relax, she'll be fine. It was just a bump. I'll pay for the hospital." But as Imran lifted his eyes to meet Arman's, there was no anger, only something deeper, a quiet strength. "You think money can fix everything?" Imran asked softly. "You don't know what you've done." The ambulance arrived, and Aisha was rushed away. Imran stayed by her side, whispering prayers, while Arman sat outside the hospital, impatient, scrolling on his phone. Hours passed before a doctor emerged. "She's stable, but it was close," the doctor said. "If she hadn't been brought in on time, we could have lost both mother and child." Relief washed over Imran, but his gaze turned sharp toward Arman. And then the truth came out. You see, Imran wasn't just a schoolteacher. Years before, he had been a decorated soldier, a man who had risked his life for the country while men like Arman were enjoying luxury in their palaces. He had walked through battlefields, seen brothers die in his arms, and yet carried himself with humility, never boasting, never demanding recognition. He had chosen a quieter life to build a family, but the strength in him had never left. When Arman heard this, something inside him cracked. He had mocked a man whose courage and sacrifice were beyond anything money could buy. He had nearly destroyed the happiness of a family that lived on values he could never understand. For the first time in his life, Arman felt shame, not because of the crowd's judgment, but because he saw in Imran's eyes a kind of honor and dignity he would never know. Days passed. Aisha recovered slowly, holding her baby inside her womb with resilience. Arman visited often, not with arrogance this time, but with guilt heavy on his shoulders. He apologized over and over, but Imran never raised his voice. Instead, he told Arman, "What matters is not how much money you have, but how much humanity you carry. My wife survived not because of your wealth, but because ordinary people rushed to help her while you stood frozen in pride. Something changed in Armin after that. He started spending less time at parties and more time in hospitals, volunteering, helping those who had no voice. For the first time, he looked at his father's empire not as a toy, but as a tool to serve others. His arrogance melted into humility, his pride into gratitude. Months later, when Aisha finally gave birth to a healthy baby boy, Armin was there not as a millionaire's son, but as a man learning to live with compassion. He held the tiny baby in his arms and whispered, "Thank you for giving me a chance to be better." And that's the truth about how an arrogant millionaire's son hid a pregnant woman and how the strength of her husband, a humble teacher and soldier, left him frozen, changed, and reborn. So if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Because every story we share